Hippopotamus, hippopotamus, hippopotamus. Ow!
All these haters that want it, homie, I keep it 100. Never front it while you stunning, acting like you hate it, but really want it.
What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. This is Green Bear, aka the Beskar Boner, and today we're going to talk about Moon Knight and what is actually happening to our main character, and where things may be heading. And if you're wondering if we're also going to talk about Kang, before we get to that, I need everyone to punch an America Chavez size hole in that like button and hit subscribe in somewhat of a circular motion, swift but graceful like Doctor Strange or hell, even Ned would do. Oh yeah, and by the way, he'd also ring that bell to make sure he got all the notifications. Now let's get into it. First, there's source material that inspires all of this. The Lemire run heavily inspired this twist, with the mental institution housing Bobby and Billy characters as Overleys. Layla embodies the Marlena role. Crawley shows up in human form, although to me he looks a lot different. Harrow assumes the Dr. Emmett role, which makes sense because he'll probably be Amit's avatar. Even Mark and Steven holding each other in physical form is reflected in the source material. Although, we get a tomb that is most likely holding Jake Lockley that nobody wants to open.
Oh, hell no!
I love the way this show draws from all the little callbacks to the first 3 episodes in an attempt to convince Mark he's imagining it all, and was always right here up until he has that come to Jesus moment in Dr. Harrow's office. But let's be real, right from the jump, you have to be thinking, this has got to be the cleanest, most high-end mental institution in existence. We get our first hint this can't be real when Mark sees the reflection of Harrow's broken glass-filled sandals. And from there, everything really goes bonkers. He realizes that Harrow shot him, sees his altar in physical form, the hallways get tripped out, and then we meet the hippopotamus-faced god. More on that later. 2 moments leading up to the institution stuck out to me as clues to what got us here. The first one is before Harrow and his men confront Mark, he shouts out, "Wake up," after Layla and him chat.
Wake up!
Is this someone in the mental hospital trying to wake up Mark, or Harrow summoning some other Ammit power to put Mark in a trance? The second moment I noticed is probably more likely the case. After Harrow shoots Mark and he falls back, then sinks further and further, it seems kind of like he's venturing into a different plane of existence. With this being the Tomb of Ammit, did Harrow inadvertently push Mark through some unknown pathway to the Overvoid? Of course, it's also possible Mark's just straight up dead.
Woo! You know he did.
Maybe this is some kind of strange purgatory and ultimately Mark needs to face judgment. What I ultimately think, well, what I know actually, is that Mark is going to somehow return to the real world, regain his Moon Knight suit, and face off against Harrow. How will that happen though? Well, that hippopotamus-faced god is actually Taweret, the Egyptian goddess of childbirth and fertility, and scholars also believe she represented rebirth after death. Taweret has never actually appeared in Marvel Comics, so we're digging deep here into Egyptian mythology. But in her, we also discover one of the missing Inuit gods. So maybe she's not banished or cast to stone. It's more than probable she's going to lend a hand in reviving Mark. And since she's the goddess of fertility and childbirth, she's literally the complete opposite of Ammit. So she has the motivation to want to stop Harrow's plans. And if I'm being 100%, I have no clue how that all shakes out. We'll just have to watch and see what happens. Which brings me to my next point. Kang. You thought there was no mention or ties to him this episode, didn't you? Well, it turns out there's a big one. We get a crazy revelation this week in that Alexander the Great was actually the last avatar of Ammit, the one Harrow talks about here. And it's funny because good old Kang once talked about Alexander the Great too. In Kang number 1 from 2021, in the first pages, Kang references Alexander the Great as essentially knowing about the multiverse and how there are an infinite number of worlds. Kang also references Alexander the Great again on the last pages of the conclusion of that series. So we're getting very interesting and intentional Kang Easter eggs in this series. What will all lead to is anyone's guess. I'm really intrigued by the possibility of Mark being in the Overvoid now too, and what other ties to Kang may come from that experience. Looking ahead to the next episode, I believe we're going to get a whole lot of flashbacks. No, not those kind of flashbacks. The Lemire run does the same and brings Mark to a point where he realizes he needs to confront his alters. And in the end, it's really by all of them working together that Mark is able to be strong enough to defeat his demons. The show has already been somewhat foreshadowing that, with Mark and Steven at times realizing they need to share the body depending on the situation. All in all, guys, this is a crazy episode, and I had an idea it was coming, but mostly because these early episode screeners can't keep their mouths shut. But they only got 4 episodes to watch from, so
we just crossed the threshold.
I can't wait to see what comes next. If you watch the whole way through this video, leave me a comment saying how you think Mark gets revived, or if you think he's even dead. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching. I'm out.